Welcome, everyone. Welcome, sisters and brothers from around the United States, North America, and indeed the world. It is Friday, March 20th, 2026, and we are at the equinox point, which means just a few hours ago, all over the world, it was equal day and equal night. For those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, we're moving into the spring. For those in the Southern Hemisphere, you all are moving into the autumn. And it is an honor to have you here for this divine reunion. And so that's what we're going to be talking about and diving into today. And I will be making introductions of myself and my co-host for those of you who don't know one or both of us in a little bit. But as always, I like to start with a grounding and centering. And for those of you who've joined me a lot, we're not going to be dancing today because we have a lot of ground to cover. So we're just going to do a simple grounding and centering and bringing ourselves and our energies present. So if it's safe to do so, go ahead and close your eyes. Whoopsie. I'm having button clicking issues still. Okay, go ahead and close your eyes or at least tune your energies inward. I know sometimes people join us listening and driving. Or at work. So just tuning your energies inward, drop into the heart. And if you know if you've received the training on the 0 point, drop into 0 point, the center of your high heart. The silent, still place between breath and no breath, action and inaction, form and formlessness. Just allow yourself to be present and breathe in the center of your very being. Just pausing the wheels of creation, of thought and energetics to be fully here now. Allowing the in-breath to bring you closer into your heart of hearts. Allowing the out-breath to expand your awareness into the field of all your sisters and brothers who have joined us here. And letting your heart's true intent for peace or joy or spaciousness, more creativity, more divinity in your own life, to expand into this field of connection with all of those here, as well as all of those who will join us on the replay, because all time is now and all space is here. And now take a minute to connect with Mother Earth, Gaia, our home when we're here in form. If you feel to drop an anchoring cord, you can, or perhaps from your heart to hers, just a gentle hello. Thank you. I am here. I am here. I am with you, and I am grateful. I'm going to take another nice deep breath in, letting the inhale bring you even more into this now moment in the body, safe, present in this container. And on the exhale, blessing all your sisters and brothers here with us now and in another now moment. Thank you, everyone. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. It's good to have you here. And most of you have worked with me before in some capacity, but there are some of you here whose names I don't recognize. So I'm going to do an introduction of myself and then my co-host for today, Doug Egan. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dawn Del Vecchio, and I've walked the path as a priestess for more than 40 years now. It's always easy to remember because it started when my son was born. In these days, what I have been doing for the past many years is mentoring women in the practice of feminine spiritual embodiment. I do that on retreats and online trainings in a private community, and with what I call my deep devotion to lifting as we rise, lifting as we rise. I'm the lineage bearer of the Mother Spirit Priestess line, and I initiate women into that lineage. I'm also the founder of the Return of the Priestess Speaker Series and the Priestess Sanctuary private community. Today, I also serve as an ascension guide, mostly still for women, but I'm not shut off to men. I just have done more work with women. And I guide myself and others to really embody and lead with love in these profound and transformational times we're walking through as a human family. So that's a smidge about me. Now, let me introduce you to Doug Egan. Doug Egan is a leader in training as part of a global organization called the Mankind Project, which has been around for a very long time. He is also the area steward for the Southwest region of the Mankind Project, and he has also been a former mentor and school circle facilitator, as well as a weekend trainer for an organization called Boys to Men, working with young adolescent and teenage boys. And it's through his volunteer work in these organizations that Doug is able to guide men of all ages and backgrounds toward emotional literacy, healthy masculinity, and sacred leadership. His approach is rooted in connection. Men don't need to be fixing, They don't need to be fixed. They need support to access their inner truth. His work empowers men to become their best selves, co-creating stronger families, healthier communities, and a more compassionate world. So welcome, Doug. Thank you so much for joining us for this. And if you just want to come on and say hello.
Hello, my camera keeps going in and out, so my head is really not as big as it looks sometimes.
I haven't noticed, but I've been looking a little at my notes. So anyway, he look all right to me. Also, many of you know Doug is also my husband, and he's sitting in the next room. So he's my beloved mate, and I am most grateful to have him here with us today. As part of this. So we've both been on this journey of serving. I serve women, he serves men, and we're exploring different ways to, what is needed in this now in terms of our skill sets that we might be able to bring together. So that kind of leads to what I want to move into next, which is my opening statement of like the big picture of what's going on. And why are we here today? How does that relate to the bigger trajectory of what we're experiencing here on Earth in these times? So first of all, and again, welcome to those of you who came in a little bit late to our Divine Reunion Gathering. This particular gathering is for all of us who are ready to remember, as in put back together, remember what has been long fragmented and restore the sacred balance between the feminine and the masculine, both within ourselves and, of course, with each other. So, big picture first, the big shifts that are now with us. We are undergoing a massive planetary transformation. It's a transformation in consciousness among humans. It's also a transformation with Earth Gaia herself, and since we are journeying with her and upon her body, we can't help but experience that. And the whole background of, why this is happening now and all of that, some of you may know, some of you may have heard me talk about. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm not going to really go there. Suffice it to say that things are not going to slow down. Particularly 2025, 26, and 27 are massive years of transformation on our planet. And that can look really scary, especially if we look at mainstream consciousness productions like the news, things like that. Because change can be scary. But there have been, for a long time, we have been living on a planet, and I mean, we're talking millennia, of a planet having, and souls having an experience of deep separation from divine, from love. And it's time for a change. It's time for a great awakening, and that is what we are undergoing. In short, we are birthing a new earth after millennia of time experiencing deep states of separation from divinity and from each other. The experiment, in other words, has run its course and is slowly coming to a close. Now, what that looks like in the outer world is that all of the systems that were built, created, and founded in and rooted in unloving systems need to go. And that's scary, and that can look rather traumatizing, and that can look rather like Armageddon, if you will. However, for those of us who have been long-standingly devoted to birthing new earth, to midwifing new earth, to embodying love, however you want to call it, we know, we see, because we're not looking at the collapsing old paradigm, we're cultivating the new paradigm. And so we know and see all the ways in which new consciousness is birthing on earth. And yeah, we're at the vanguard. We're at the beginning. This is a long, slow process here in 3D. So it's going to take some time. And this is where we are. We are in these like critical years of accelerated change, accelerated what looks like out there as collapse, but what is also a new birth. And so for many of us, we are being invited again and again to entangle our energies in collapsing systems by being in fear, by observing, by feeding our energy to the old systems that were based not in love, that were based in separation. And when I say love, I don't mean romantic love, right? You know, I mean divine love, God love, spirit love. So will we be caught up in the collapse of the unloving systems? Or will we choose to be the light bearers, the visionaries, the soul aligned way showers for new earth? So obviously, if you are here, you are either already dedicated and devoted to the latter, to being a light bearer of some kind, or you're maybe, as we East Coast Italians say, up to here with the fear porn, the nonsense, and the entanglements in the unloving systems. And you want to know a better way. And that's what we have a very specific focus for this call, but that really is my ministry. And I would say, I don't want to speak fully for Doug, but certainly his service assisting men in their own healing process and awakening process is his ministry as well. So keep in heart that divide and conquer is the oldest trick in the book. And when you put on the lens of let me see the bigger picture of what's going on, divide and conquer is everywhere, right? Divisiveness, it could be anything. It's like, oh, patriarchy, toxic masculinity, oh, women who hate men, oh, color, skin, have and have not, and, you know, this war and that war, and this hate and that hate, and those bad guys. It goes on and on. And it's been nonstop since 2020, but it's been going on a long time too. So divisiveness, let us remember, whatever the theme, whatever the righteous indignation, whatever the thinking that one side is right and one side is wrong, divisiveness weakens us. We are all here one human family. Diversity is wonderful. We don't want, you know, homogenous boringness. Diversity is wonderful, but divisiveness weakens us. Love and conscious presence with ourselves first and others is what strengthens us. And so alliance within ourselves and with others strengthens us. So our objective today is to explore this, the divide and the divine reunion of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine within us and among us. We all, whether we are male, female, heterosexual, homosexual, or anything else, we all have inner feminine and masculine. We all have a right brain and a left brain. We all have aspects of the self that are emotional, receptive, intuitive, whole systems thinking. Sometimes they're truncated or suppressed, but they're there. It's part of our divine design. And we all also have things we would call more the masculine, directed, focused, intentional organizing, taking action. And again, they could be suppressed, they could be in overdrive. So we all have these qualities. It's part of the divine plan is that we have polarities and we want to create flow. So balance, not as stasis, frozen balance, but the flow. The flow of when is it time to be receptive? When is it time to deeply feel my feelings? When is it time for me to go, I'm ready to take action right now? When is it time for me to make distinctions between what needs to be cleared from my life or my field and what needs to be welcomed in? When is it time for me to just go, I just need to space out and allow my higher self to download new creative inspirations? All of this is part of us. But in the division we have lived in on this planet, where there's been really a divide of the left and right hemisphere of the brain, and the left rational side being prioritized and dominating over the right side, or the creative inspirational side, because of that, we have lived in an unbalanced world. So to say that, well, maybe it's a good idea to just flip it. We'll just have feminine dominate the masculine. I don't see it will be a different world, that's for sure, but it's not necessarily the place of divine reunion where we can allow all of ourselves to be expressed, and we can allow our sacred sisters and sacred brothers to embody the energy that feels most aligned for them. So not unlike the yin yang symbol, where you have the circle with an S, and half of the S is black and half is white, but within the black is a circle of white, and within the white is a circle of black. It's that sense, and it moves, right? It's in flow, it's in movement. It's not just a rigidity of black or white, right? That's not the same thing as the flow of the balance. So this is really what our divine reunion theme is about. It's about how can we embody the divine balance of the masculine and feminine within us, so we can remember what's been fragmented or cut off within us, so that we can support a deeper restoration of that inner sacred union, as well as between us, between women and men. So the goal here is to nurture unity over separation, again, within and without. And so to start with this, and Doug and I talked about it, like, how can we best serve those who join us for this? And one way that I feel, because the majority of the people that this was promoted to are women, they're my community. One of the things that would be really helpful is to become more aware of the situation, the inner experience of many of our brothers on earth right now. So many women, in some ways, we have a little bit of a head start, if you will, because we have been allowed now for decades to build careers and take more action in our lives and still have permission to feel, to feel our feelings, to be mamas if we want or not, that kind of thing. Whereas our brothers have still had a lot of challenges that Doug is going to be speaking into here in a moment, so I don't want to step over that. But I just wanted to segue here of, like, biggest picture, big transformation on earth. One of the key things that needs to happen is a greater integration and flow of our inner, our inner feminine and masculine, as well as our inner relationship with each other, so that we stop getting tricked by this divide and conquer stuff. And then moving into, okay, well, where are, from someone who's really experienced working with men, where are our brothers right now? What do we need to know? How can that help us be in more balanced service with our own inner masculine, as well as with the men in our lives, our sons, our brothers, our fathers, our lovers, if our lovers are men. So with that, the last thing I want to say here before I turn this over to Doug is to say that if questions come up for you, please feel free to type them in the chat. I cannot promise that we will get to them. It depends on how long this goes. We're at almost 25 minutes now. But if we can get to some, we will. It would be great to also receive your, like, what's present for you, what's landing and what's not, because that will help us to potentially co-create more of these if there's interest. Whew. Okay, so everybody, let's just take a nice deep breath. Trusting and knowing that everything I've shared, what's important is going to filter in and land for you, and what's not, you can just release. and just allowing yourself to be in the receptivity here as we turn the floor over to Doug. And Doug, I'm going to mute myself now, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. She's a tough act to follow, but I'll do my best. Thank you all for being here. Some of you I know, Lori, Sherilyn. Shout out to my brother, mankind brother Ed. Let's catch up sometime soon. Yeah, thank you all for sharing this time with me today. I want to just talk about some of the things, some of my observations that I've seen over the last, say, 10, 12 years of working with men and working with boys, teenage boys. Um, and I'm going to keep this subject to, this union of masculine and feminine. I can go off on all kinds of different subjects to talk about different things, but for today, what I want to talk about is just kind of this union that we're working on and Dawn's talking about. So I want to talk about where men are today, and I want to preface it. This is not all men. This is just men. These are some observations that I've seen as a whole. Um, where men are today, and how a little bit of how we got here, and some things that are being done about it, and some things that I see that are becoming helpful and becoming more obvious in society. So just want to give an overview of some of the things that I see today. And I don't mean today, but over the last few years in this time frame, in that rebalancing. And one of the things that's really noticeable to me with the change of careers and different thing that women are doing and different thing that men are doing in society, it's caught many men off guard. Their internal and external roles that have been changing in this societies um, has created some confusion in men. And what we're really seeing, I just came off a weekend where there was 100 men, and one of the themes that we kept hearing that people are seeing are loneliness. That was the number one, that men are lonely. Lack of purpose, lack of focus, uh, fear of stepping into something they're not used to. And one thing, and I used to be a suicide counselor, so I know this. It's the highest suicide rates we've ever seen in men, where it used to just be teenage boys. Now it's all over, all age groups. The amount of suicides that are coming up, that are happening, and then there's the ones that we don't hear about also. So that's something that's really affecting men these days. Um, one thing I'm really noticing these days too is with men is divorce after children. And I've talked to a lot of men, and they're always, well, I was a provider, and this is what I was supposed to do. But maybe there wasn't that. Maybe there was a lack of love, or a love that wasn't from the men's side. They were equating providing with love, and maybe the woman wasn't getting the love, the heart love that she wanted. I've seen a lot of that lately, and I've talked to a lot of men about that. Um, so those are just some of the things. Traditionally, men have been the providers and protectors of their family, their communities, their friends, and that's built into us, man. That's been built into us for generations and eons. It's built deep in our bones and our blood and our being, and traditionally, that's something that's been really fulfilling for men. And when some of those roles are changing, some men might get a little bit lost. And just to go on that a little bit, if you think about for tens of thousands of years, men have traded years of their lives to fulfill some of these roles. You think about men that are going to war, men that are going to war that are willing to die for what they believe in and willing to die um, or be hurt for things to protect their families and their communities. And with some careers also, they're doing dangerous things to be able to be that provider. 'Cause it's built into many men. When I say all men or us, I'm just talking about me and some of my observations. But I think that rings true across a lot of different societies and a lot of different cultures. And a lot of this started when we were boys. A lot of the shutdown or the lack of emotion or the lack of allowing that feminine side to come in were things that we learned as boys. Many of us were taught boys don't cry. Keep those feelings to yourself. You're a frickin' sissy. Stop acting stop acting like a girl. And so a lot of this stuff got stuffed down inside that as we became older, we just kept it in there. And a lot of men, their feelings, they just became solo practitioners in their feelings and trying to figure it out by themselves. Um, or just go into the dominant men emotion of rage and anger. And it makes for some men, it makes them feel powerful. And excuse my language, but that's bullshit. It's not it's some men use it as a power trip when it's really just hiding. It's hiding fear. Um, and one thing you don't hear that often, and I've heard this from many men, um, that men are afraid of other men. So they'll keep a lot to themselves. And these are men that I might look at and think, wow, these guys really, they're really got it together, man. These guys are doing this and that, and they're afraid of other men. And they mask that with different emotions, and they're afraid to show their emotions. Fortunately, what I've seen, and I wasn't into this 40 or 50 years ago, but from doing different studies and things like that, and working with my men and working with a lot of my elders too, who I learned a lot from over like the last 40 or 50 years has been a rebalance, the rebalancing of the masculine and the feminine is starting to take some shape and showing some signs of recovery. We're not out of the woods yet. For a lot of people, this is still real new and sometimes confusing and fearful because I look at masculinity as courage, confidence, clarity, compassion. But sometimes there's that other side that we hear, the toxic masculinity, the patriarchy, and things like that are associated with masculinity. Um, and it's hard for men to embrace those other aspects of themselves because it wasn't something that they were taught. It wasn't something that they were learned. And I go back to that solo practitionership of these are some things that we've had to learn on our own or with small groups of people. And now with groups like the Mankind Project and other projects that are all around the world, it's becoming safer for men to express their emotions in a safe place. And that I think is one of the biggest things where if men can find a place where they can be vulnerable in front of other men, then man, there's where the work is. Um, and there's a saying that I heard from one of my mentors a long time for women to get to where they want to be in maybe an emotional way, sometimes they need to be loved up where men on the other side um, need to be broken down so that we can reach that spot. I'll tell a little story about that in a second. And mostly what I see these days, what men need, my brothers, my fathers, my brothers all around the world, we need a little mercy. Men need mercy to be seen for the soft, feminine, soft men that they are. And they need to know that they can keep their masculinity for the things that that masculinity serves, to serve our women, to serve our families, to serve our communities. And that masculinity is really, really needed um, in this world, in my judgment, and in the judgment of others. Um, so yeah, you love women up and you break women down. And there used to
Break
be.
men down. You said that when we were talking earlier.
Oh, I
Love
did?
women
Okay.
up and
I'm
break men
sorry. I'm
down.
getting a
Yeah.
little emotional myself talking about this, so I might get a little bit confused. Um, and what I found works, and I've been taught some of these things, is, men need to find a safe place with other men. There's co-ed circles, which are fantastic. I mean, I look at 12 step, those co-ed circles, and they work wonders for people. But for men to really reach a place, finding a safe place with other men. Because men are going to talk about a lot of things, if there's not women in the room that they might be afraid to talk about in front of women. So finding a safe place for men to work on their father wounds and to work on their mother wounds, because this is where a lot of it happens. Where we've been in this place for a long time, and I'll give you an example of a father wound that I never freaking knew I had that was running my bus for a long time. Um, my father passed when I was a young boy, and I went to an initiation weekend with the Mankind Project, and I met men there that held the space for me. I was always blaming everything else about my actions, about my emotions, where they were from. And it was, and there were men there that have been doing this for a while. And he was like, that's not it, man. You're just bullshitting yourself. And this is part of when we're working with men, we could be a little more in your face. And there was a man who I love to this day and I'll love forever that finally broke through. And my father wound was I never really got to grieve. I never really got to grieve that wound. And boy, they set something up for me and I got to grieve that wound. And it was profound in my life. Um, and it allowed me to open up these other things that moving forward, it made me want to help other men. It's like, wow, there's things out here where we can help each other. And on the other side, there's mother wounds also. Maybe there's a lot, and that's something, on further conversations we can go into. If you all decide, there's a lot I can talk about men's work and about boys' work. But I want to bring up one more thing about the boys. I worked with boys in schools for a long time. We'd go sit in circle with boys, and someone once asked me, "What's the difference between when you were in high school and junior high and when these boys were?" I'm like, "It's the same stuff. It's bullies, it's cops, it's robbers, it's teachers, it's mom, it's dad, it's friends." And he's like, "But what's the difference?" And I was like, "This is the difference. The phones. I mean, they can have a girl that lives in that goes to another school break up with them in second period. They get so much information so quickly that they have a hard time processing that stuff." Um, so like I say, if we if Dawn wants to bring some of these other conversations in, these are just some of my observations, and they're not every man, and they're my observations. So I'm going to own that because there's all kinds of different observations and all kinds of good work out going on out there, and all kinds of suffering going on too. And one of my goals is to, help men break that loneliness, break their chains of violence, and see themselves for the beautiful men that they are and that they can go forth in this world and do good things and have that softer side, have that compassion for their fellow beings in whatever way works for them. Um, yeah, that's what I got. Dawn, you think I missed anything you want me to bring up or
No, I mean there's so much more. So thank you
yeah,
for what you have shared. Let's see. I did make a couple of notes. I wanted to underscore that men need mercy. I feel like that. I feel very
mercy.
strongly about that too.
Yeah,
As the mother of a man as well, and the daughter of a man who's never been able to feel his feelings, and the sister of a man who is really dysregulated because he's not allowed to feel his feelings. And I love the phrase, I never heard you say that before, Doug. Solo practitioners with their feelings. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Thank you for that. And also, I just wanted to check in, that just remind us all what you said about how men can begin to express things when they're just with other men that they won't if women are there too. And
yeah,
and I want to ask all the sisters here, can you not relate? I mean, this is why we have women's groups, right? there are certain things, at least at this time, where there's a great healing and a benefit for us to be with our respective groups. And again, this doesn't have to do with sexual preference or race or anything else. It has something to do with the nature of how we're structured, that yin and yang, where there's more of one energy than the other. So, and then I also wanted to say that one of the things that Doug and I talked about, Doug is a wealth of knowledge of this kind of information. So, one of the things that we have found, the women in my community have found really helpful is when I have retreats here on our property, is Doug is a guest speaker and he talks about the archetypes, the shadow and the gold archetypes of the masculine. And we thought, well, that could potentially be another session we do, maybe around Father's Day or something. So if anyone's interested in that, please mark yes in the chat or respond to, you'll all get an email tomorrow with the recording link. So that's also available to you if you're interested. So let us know. I mean, I think that's, again, there's so much more we could dive into here, but I did want to do a little guided meditation activation before we complete for today. So, Doug, thank you again so much for giving us a little peek into what your, area of expertise really, working with men who are willing to heal and whole themselves, primarily here in this country, from your experience. So, thank you.
Yeah. Well, and thank you all. Thank you all for being here. I just want to clarify one thing because at the end there, I was just talking about the mother wound and the father wound. Those are two predominant ones, but there's all kinds of different stuff out there. So those aren't the only ones. And I appreciate you being here and go forth and make it a better world. We'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. All right, everyone. So let's go again from sort of the heady information into a little experience. So, here we are again. It's the equinox. This is the moment of perfect balance of day and night, the light and the shadow in harmony, the feminine and masculine in sacred equilibrium, not as stasis, but as flow. So this year, we gather here to explore questions like, what if we could embody that same divine balance within? How would that affect our relationships with other women and other men? And what if we could step into a higher octave of relating to ourselves, our family, and our world because we weren't totally dominated by masculine energetics or feminine energetics, but a flow? And in fact, this is just bringing up quickly, in my inner temple priestess training group, we were talking about where we feel out of balance in our call last night. And there's so many sisters who feel, that yes, we have been, the doors in the Western world have opened up for women to have careers and, do things and create and etc. But a lot of us, because the feminine has been still devaluated, become hyper driven and hyper in our masculine energies. So even though we're feminine and maybe we've birthed children and nursed and done some very feminine things or have more access to our feelings on the daily, week by week, we're like driving ourselves like our masculine is dominating us. So this little exercise is to just invite in more of the flow and the balance so that we're really bringing more spaciousness to the inner harmony of our active principles and our receptive principles, our directed principles and our receptive, our creative principles, so that there's more healing and more capacity to embody these energies and thereby interrelate with others from that space. All right. So let me just, let me see if there's anything else I want to say. Activating inner balance, embodying unity consciousness, not as a concept, but as a lived experience. All right. So as you may know, those of you who've been with me before, these kind of activations I do in a guided way. I don't have like notes of what we're going to do now. So, the first invitation is to close your eyes and to drop into the heart, where we will connect in with our breath again and allow our feeling senses to wake up, to open up, the field of our greater awareness. So just feeling into all that has been shared thus far, releasing the words and allowing the feeling tones to land somewhere in your body or somewheres. Just noticing your emotional feelings and your physical sensation feelings as you breathe. And again, I invite you to breathe in and out of the heart center, the center of the center of the center of your heart, focalizing on sensation and breath. And we're going to do a little exercise here that's called the expansion. Well, it's like an expansion and contraction of awareness. So my invitation now is for you to take a deep breath in and expand your awareness to the space all around your heart center in space. So you're diffusing your awareness fully and completely. As you exhale, come back to a very focalized point at the center of your heart. And again, breathing in, expanding your awareness so that it becomes this diffuse, spacious awareness of space itself. No thought. Exhaling and spiraling your focus inward to a tiny pinpoint at the center of the heart. And we're going to do this one more time, breathing in. Complete expansion of awareness without thought. Exhaling, spiraling into a very fine focused point in the heart. Beautiful. Okay, now I want to invite you to place your hands out, palms up in front of you. So they're just equivalent right in front of you, left and right hand right there. What we're going to do is we're going to weave a figure 8 between the left and the right. So you start, focalize your attention between your hands, right in the middle of them. And as you begin to breathe, as if you're breathing through the heart, in and out through the heart at a pace that works for you, begin to weave a figure 8 around the left hand. So going up over the top of the left hand, down beneath it, crossing over at the center, up over the right, down beneath it, coming up to the center, over the left hand, down. And just keep doing that for a moment. So breathing and weaving the infinity wave between left and right hand. Beautiful. We're weaving together the left and right hemispheres of the brain. We're weaving together the receptive and active principles of the brain. We're weaving together the creative intuitive with the analytical focalized parts of the brain. And just feeling that, breathing from the heart, weaving, weaving. Yes, in balance. Yes, in flow. Yes, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Yes, to the breath in the heart. Yes, to the safety of breathing in balance. Yes, to the truth of who we are as divine beings. Just feel how that shifts your energy in your brain, your body, your heart. Keep weaving using your attention and your intention to weave and unify, to create divine reunion within your own brain, within your own heart, within your own awareness field. And then take a moment and bring your attention to that center point right in the middle of the two hands. Take a nice deep breath as if you're breathing out to that spot. Exhale, bring the hands together like in a prayer pose, hands together, unifying left and right. Another deep breath. And as you exhale, place both hands over the heart. And you can repeat after me silently or aloud. I am the one self, united with my Creator, united with love, and united with all of my sisters and brothers of earth. I am love. I am love. I am love. Another deep breath, sealing in this blessing that you have offered your heart, yourself, and all of life. Recognizing a new level of balance that's available to your consciousness and to your feeling self and to your loved ones through this intention. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, taking a moment to just allow that to filter through, to feel the blessing of it. Beautiful. Ooh, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We have a couple more things we want to say here before we complete. Oh, and our timing is perfect. We have 9 minutes. This has gone very, very well. Okay. So again, our intention here has been to begin to facilitate the embodiment of more unity consciousness, not as a concept, but as a lived experience, by understanding a little bit more, getting a little peek, a little insight into some of what at least one sacred brother has seen in his considerable experience working with men, and all of it to activate deeper healing for the relationship between women and men by beginning with our own divine reunion in our hearts. So, to complete for today, we have a couple things we want to share for you if you would like more information or support in your divine journey, whether you are a man or a woman. So I'll start with Doug. So Doug, go ahead and jump in. What would you like to share? How can people get more information or support?
Um, well, there's several different groups out there. There's one for younger men called oh my Sacred Sons, which is becoming more popular in USA and New Mexico and Canada. Um, you can look them up. You can always look up if you're just looking for general information, mankindproject.org, and we're all over the nation and Canada, where we have centers that are in every almost every state. So if someone's looking for some general information on that, and what we do is we have weekly men's groups. There's also online groups if someone's far away from a different group. And we do what we do. What we lead to for some men is we do initiation weekends for men, and that's a 2-day intensive, and we have those all over the nation also. Or if you want to get in, someone has some particular questions or want to get in touch with me, um, in particular, just get a hold of Dawn and we'll set something up. And but there's a lot of different groups out there that I don't know about, but those are the two. I work with one Boys to Men, but that's a lot smaller and they're not all over the place. But there are some that's called, you can look up boys to men.org, and there's some different groups for teens there. And if they don't have something in their area, they might be able to, give you some other resources. Yeah, boys2men.org, because they're not as their footprint is not as big all over America as it used to be, and sometimes those organizations have fallen apart. And with both of these organizations, all three of them actually that I'm talking about, it's mostly all volunteer driven. So sometimes things change.
Yeah. Thank you.
And that's it. And thank you for your time. And like I say, if you want to get a hold of me, and I'm always willing to talk to people, men, women, boys, whoever it is. If Dawn can tell you, I'll talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime.
Sometimes to a
Shoot your
fault,
shot.
like when it's time to get on a plane. Okay, honey, come on. Yeah, I just want to say a couple things. One is that tomorrow you're all getting the email with the recording, and in that you can reply to that if you would like to connect with Doug directly, and I'll make a virtual intro for you. For Paula, who asked about group for teen boys, again, start with boys2men, but you may have to dig a little bit because, yeah, just to see in the area where you might be needing that. The other thing is, Mankind Project is in the English speaking world all over the place. So, and not even just in Mexico, Australia, used to be in Singapore, although I don't know anymore, Europe,
Mexico,
France,
Europe,
right?
South Africa.
South Africa.
Pretty soon we're going to do our a weekend in Saudi Arabia,
Oh, wow.
or actually not Saudi Arabia, in Egypt.
Egypt.
Also, there's been some weekends. They're going to have another one. It's just, I think, the second one in Israel.
Okay.
So we're growing all over the UK,
Yeah. Yeah.
and as
Great.
Ed knows, up there in Canada too, up north of us.
Thanks, Doug. Okay, so yeah, so that's how you, if you want to get in touch with Doug specifically, or you could check the links I posted in there in the chat, or contact me. And then, I wanted to share also what I'm up to these days. Some of you here are already part of this. I've been working in a very hands-on way with women who really feel called to strengthen their spiritual foundations and activate their sacred gifts in order to walk with clarity through these tremendous shifts that we've been going through. And so the way I've been doing that right now is a course, an online course called The Inner Temple. This is a very comprehensive 15-week program that brings together both the sacred practices of the priestess, the sacred woman, the light leader, the light bearer, and leading edge ascension energetics. And any of you who are in here, if you feel to make a comment, you can, but about your experience there. So this is something that you come into by having a conversation with me. So if you are interested in, upping your game as a woman, you really feeling like, wow, I know we are in this ascension now. I am called to a divine energetic that aligns me more with my spiritual energies, and I want support and mentorship and sisterhood around that, then by all means book a call with me. It's 45 minutes and we will explore. It's a connection call where I'll find out what it is that you are really needing and wanting, and if the inner temple is for you, I'll tell you about it. If it's not, I have lots of resources. I've been in this world for 40 years. So it's returnofthepriestess.com/book a call. So you can go and look at my calendar and pick a time, and we'll have a chat and explore if that's the right fit for you. I would love to work with you. That is my ministry, and my service is to support women in stepping into their priestess leadership, their divine feminine leadership roles, whether you identify as a priestess or simply a woman here to be in service during our ascension, a midwife, a light bearer for New Earth. I would love to connect with you. Let me just see if there's any other. We have a couple minutes here. Let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Claire says she's sorry she was late to join. Good to have you anyway, Claire. Thank you for being here. It's nice to see you here. Sydney says, thank you, Doug. Very refreshing to hear from the male perspective. Samantha says, thank you for the reminder to be more compassionate with men. Valerie says, I am just ruminating here and understand the divine masculine and feminine exist in all of us, and we need to bring all that into balance. I feel men need to apologize to the women, and women need to apologize to women for operating from a distorted masculine place so we can move forward to heal all the wounds we hold. Yeah, this is a very interesting thing. How do we heal? Do we all need to apologize? I mean, we might be in different places about that. I think sacred, loving service, I think more councils of women and men witnessing each other and hearing each other out and loving each other from a place of reverence and care is more how I see that. And apologies may or may not come from the individuals who have perpetrated harm. But I'm open to exploring that further. Doug, is there anything you would say to that statement?
Yeah, yeah, this one came to my head. It's lips move. Watch what people do with their feet. Are they
Mm.
really moving towards that? That's it.
Yeah. Are we truly devoted to the healing aspect? And sometimes an apology is necessary. It's an honoring and a recognition of the harm done. And I get that. I totally get that. Where we can do that, the honoring of the harm that's been done, absolutely. So thank you for bringing that into the conversation, Valerie. I appreciate that. Um, let's see. So Lori says my work with Dawn has completely changed my life. Oh, thank you, Lori. And you in my life certainly has, and supported me to be a better woman, wife, mother, and my feminine leadership. I highly recommend her courses. She is the real deal. Thank you, Lori. Paula says, this was wonderful. It's heartwarming to know that there are men and women such as yourselves to bring this ministry into the world. Thank you for your love, light, and readiness and willingness to share. Absolutely. And thank you for your sacred work in the world, because I know you are a powerful light bearer in this world. Paula, so thank you. Sharon says, thank you, Dawn, and it's wonderful to meet your husband and know about this work. Blessings to you both. Let's see if there's any. There were a lot of yeses to doing another call, so we'll discuss that. Um, Sherilyn says, I agree with the need for mercy for men. And Rochelle says, Hey, Rochelle, welcome. I resonate so much with you, Doug, and I feel your heart and authenticity. Yeah, thank you. Let's see what else we have here. Uh, Valerie says, thank you so much for speaking into that and expanding the meaning of my comment above. Much love. Yes, you are so welcome, sister. And Vivian says, mercy for men. Can you say more? Great one. Thanks, Vivian, for that. So glad you're here, sister. Doug, anything you would say about mercy for men?
Yeah, I can. Mercy for men. Open your heart for men's struggles and men's pain, and the stuff that men have done, perpetrated on this world, and other men and to women. There's been some horrible things done, and yeah, having mercy, um, and really feeling that love connection. It's in all of our hearts somewhere. Sometimes it's buried so deep in somebody, and sometimes somebody just needs a little mercy, just a little hand up to show that there's compassion and humanity for them also.
Mhm. Thank you. Yeah, and I would like to say too that, mercy does not always, there's this thing about boundaries, like the empath narcissist thing, the boundaries and the mercy. And this is something we could dive into more in another call as well, because it is possible to have deep mercy and compassion for the suffering of someone and still go, that person gets nowhere near me. Nowhere near me. I have a person like that in my life. It's sad. I feel a lot of compassion for him, but he creates such trouble and such harm, including mostly to himself, that I know that it's no. It's a clear no in my energy, in my field, but my heart for his suffering, I feel and I pray for him and I have the mercy for him in that way, if that makes sense. We have the right to our boundaries. We all have the right to our boundaries. And our loving compassion toward the suffering of others, men being fodder for cannon fire for how many generations, as but one example. Our compassion is what is needed more than anything right now. So, on the big scale, on the global scale, and in our personal lives as well. And our right to our own boundaries is also really essential so that we have the spaciousness to hold that compassionate field, to be bearers of light in times of great challenge and great transformation. Ooh, thank you so much. We're a few minutes over, but I feel that this has been a beautiful gathering of hearts, and I deeply bow of gratitude to you, my beloved husband and sacred brother, Doug, to you, my sisters and brothers who are here with us now, and those who will join us in the recording. So, Doug, any final thoughts before we say goodbye and blessings for now?
Peace, y'all.
Thank you. All right. Lots of love. Happy equinox. May the flow be with you. Mwah. Bye for now. Thank you. Thank you. Love to all. Mm.